Good to see everybody. Hi, Carol. Great. All right, we're going to get started. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So thank you for joining me today. If you guys want to unmute yourselves, you are welcome to ask a question. But I'm very excited to be here today. Happy Tuesday to all of you. Just a quick note, we will not be having Tuesday Tuneups for the next 2 weeks. Next week is 4th of July, so we'll be celebrating America. And the following week, I will be in San Antonio, Texas for a Build event. So we will not be having Tuesday Tuneups for the next 2 weeks. So just make a note of that in your calendar. And we will also be sending out an email to remind you guys. But just so you all know, I'm Marguerite Crespillo, and I do Tuesday Tuneups every Tuesday, except when I'm gone. And these are always open to anybody with any company. It's funny, I started these about, I guess it's been like 15 years ago. I'm starting to get old now. And honestly, with the intent of just being able to share the wealth of knowledge that I've been able to accumulate in my going to be 30 years here in December. 30 years I will have been in real estate, and I have been blessed to be a part of over 4,000 transactions. Now, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that I got a lot of street credit, and I've done a ton of business, and I've done it in every single kind of market that exists. The good, the bad, the ugly, the really ugly market of 2010. And I've done it in every kind of market. So there's tons and tons of opportunity, and great agents do well in any market. So keep that in mind. Sometimes we get all caught up in what is going on, and we get caught up in the language of, oh, the market sucks, oh, it's miserable, nobody's buying, nobody's selling, we can't sell homes because the interest rates are too high. And I hear all that blah, 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 blah. And it gets in your head. We all go through it. We all have little pity parties where we are feeling like we can't do it, or we're struggling, or we're having challenges. And the truth is, we're going to talk a little bit today about busyness versus business. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat, and I will get to them as I see them. And you can always open your microphone as well if you want to, but don't hesitate to share this information. We will also be posting the recording on YouTube, and it takes about a day or so for my team to get it edited and posted. But here we go. You guys ready to dive in? Today, we're going to really talk about busyness versus business. And what the heck do you do all day? It's interesting because, again, I hear a lot of people complaining right now about the market and what that looks like and what is happening for them in their business. And the truth is, what I tell people all day is, if I were to follow you around with a video camera all day, from the moment you woke up to the moment you went to sleep, what would I actually see you doing, right? What would that day look like? So if I were to follow you around and with that video camera, what would I see you doing all day? The truth is, many times it can be things like social media, procrastinating. It can be, oh, I'm going to work on this project. Or how many of you have done this? You've gone to make coffee, and you're standing there making your coffee, and you look over and you open the drawer, and the drawer's a mess. So you decide to reorganize the drawer. And then while you're reorganizing the drawer, oh my goodness, there's some dirty towels in there. You grab the dirty towels, you go in, oh, I need to put a load of laundry in. So you threw a load of laundry in, right? And then while you're in the laundry room, you're like, oh my goodness, we're out of this and this. You make a shopping list. And next thing, you're in the car going to the grocery store, and you didn't get anything done. Anyone have that happen? Raise your hand. Come on. Now, the truth is that many times what we know is that is really literally a sign of procrastination. So one of my questions is do you have an attachment to staying or looking busy? So sometimes we want to make sure that we are looking busy because we don't want anyone to think we're not busy, because that means we're not working, or we're sitting around, or we're having a million reasons why we want to make sure that we're looking busy. My grandmother used to call my life living in a blender. She says, you live your life like you live in a blender, because I always had a million things going on. And when I started really evaluating what I was actually doing all day, I saw that the truth was a lot of what I was doing was avoiding stuff, right? So how many of you hate to cold call, right? And so guess what? You're going to find a million reasons why you can't make your calls. You're like, oh, I don't have the right list. Oh, wait, I need to go clean up my database first. Oh, I need to get this taken care of first. Oh, I need to make sure I have the perfect script in order. Oh, I better go research that on YouTube and find the good scripts before I make my calls, right? Like you have a million excuses of reasons why you cannot get out there and make your calls. And the truth is you're really avoiding what you need to do. So if you don't like making cold calls, you guys, go find something different to do. You don't necessarily have to make cold calls. I, in my career, have never made cold calls. Now, there are people who love that. I personally make calls to people that I know. I make calls to my database. I make calls to friends. I make calls to associates. I get out there, I network. I do lots of different things. But it's whatever works for you. The bottom line is, why are you also not going out and doing the networking you need to be doing? I realize that we had a rough few years with COVID and being locked in the house and all that stuff. But the truth is, that's now an excuse. That is over. You can get up, you can get out, you can go do something. If you're struggling to get out of the house, you're having a pity party for yourself or whatever that is, reach out to somebody. Yeah, you call me, for goodness sake. Reach out to somebody and go out there, make an appointment with people and get yourself out of your house. We were talking about all the things that give you a reason to avoid what it is you really need to do in a day, right? So now let's talk a little bit about, what does your actual business look like? How much time do you spend reflecting on how it's actually going? And do you know your numbers? Do you know what that looks like? What is your average income per transaction? Average net income per transaction? What are your costs? Why does that matter? Because the truth is, you guys, we do all need some time off, right? And what I know is that if I'm having a really good month, I can give myself a little bit of break. We know that what you're doing today is 90 days out. So the activity and the work and the results that you're getting today are 90 days out. Meaning if you're having a horrible June right now, what were you doing 90 days ago? 90 days ago would have been in March. Were you hustling in March, or were you crying the blues? Were you procrastinating in March, or were you doing what you needed to do to build and create a successful business? What did that actually look like? So when you look at where you are right now, you can look back 90 days and you can see why you are where you are, right? And what I know is that if I have a lot of stuff in contract for the next 90 days, I can probably relax a little bit, right? But if you have nothing in contract right now and you have nothing in contract for next month, guess what? It's go time. It's hustle time, right? Because you guys remember this too. We get paid on results, not time. We don't get paid for time. We 100% get paid on the results that we create for our clients and the people in our lives. And when you look at your hourly rate, what might that look like? In fact, what is your return on time? Your return on time is really a financial metric that helps you measure the efficiency of the investment in time. Time is worth something, isn't it? It's really important. How much time are you actually putting in to working in your business? Meaning, how much time are you in front of clients, talking to people, prospecting, working with existing transactions, reaching out to people in your database? How much time do you spend doing that? People all say, oh yeah, I prospect an hour a day. Really? 1 hour? Like in 40 hours of the week, you're prospecting a total of 5 hours? What does that look like? I love my good friend, Hank Avink, and Hank says, if you want, you tell me what your income is and then show me your calendar and I'll tell you whether you can hit it or not. All right. So if your goal is to make 100,000, which everyone seems to have that goal of making $100,000, show me your calendar and I'll tell you if you're going to make it or not. It's really simple. How much of your day is spent being proactive? What is the return on your time investment? And what does that time actually look like? So if you really sat down and paid attention to that, are you putting in the work? What does the time look like for you? So the next one that we're going to talk a little bit about is return on effort. I love this. Return on effort is a concept that refers to the ratio of the results achieved to the amount of effort or resources invested. So what does that mean? There are several different areas in your life, right? There are quick wins. Every once in a while, we get a random client that drops in and says, I'm ready to buy tomorrow, and we put them into contract. That doesn't happen a lot, right? The more invested you are in your database and following up with clients, that kind of thing, the higher the odds of that happening are. But how often does that happen? How much time is spent doing major projects, working on your business, creating, marketing, designing, putting together events, doing things that are going to generate business for you? How much time do you spend in major projects? And then there are the fill-ins, meaning all the junk you do in a day, all the stuff that's distracting you and keeping you from doing what you really need to do. And then there is really thankless tasks, meaning what are all the rudimentary things that you're doing in a day that relate to maybe a real estate transaction or parts and processes that are honestly thankless tasks. What's really happening with those, right? How much time are you spending with that? And so when you start to really evaluate these different things and you look at what amount of time is being invested in that, how much time, energy, money is invested in a particular area, then guess what? You might reevaluate what you're actually doing, right? For example, I have a podcast now, and I love doing my podcast. But the biggest challenge for me was all the details that went into running that podcast, right? The video editing, the marketing of it, the scheduling the guests and following up with the guests and all this stuff. And I got overwhelmed. How many of you feel that overwhelmed feeling when it comes to something? And so I said, okay, number one, how important is this podcast to me? For me, it was something I really wanted to do. Number two, what is the return on my investment? There's no real financial return that I can tag. Like I can't say I did this, so I got $100 or anything like that. But what I do know is that by creating that value for all of you and for the people that are in my life, the return is compounded times 10. So I decided that it was something that I wanted to continue to do and figured out, okay, what am I worth per hour? And can I find somebody who can do a lot of that work for less? So what does that mean? You guys might have seen my class called How to Delegate What You Hate. And the truth is, I was able to find a virtual assistant for $4 to $5 an hour. And that's a lot of money to them in their country, who literally can do everything on my podcast that I don't like to do. The only part I have to do is show up and interview people, which is what I love to do. Does that make sense? Is that a good return on my money? All day long. So you have to start to really look at and evaluate those different things. Is what is your time and energy worth? And are you doing a lot of the low dollar activities simply to procrastinate? Is that another excuse for you not to do what you need to do to make the life that you want to live? That's what you really have to evaluate. So what is your return on energy? How much energy are you expanding? It's interesting to me that we can frequently spend so much time, energy, and resources dealing with stuff that we should not be dealing with, right? We get consumed in social media, for example, consumed in family dynamic issues or friend issues or the politics at the office, or all these different things are draining of our energy. And what I learned a long time ago is to be responsible for the energy that you bring into the room. Meaning when you walk into a room, do eyes light up, or are people like, oh, she's here again? She's that person who comes in and they're complaining about everything in their life, and they're complaining because they don't like the coffee that's there today, or they're just complaining about everything in their life. And we all have those moments, you guys, but how much time how much of your energy is spent around people like that? And I learned recently, I was on a call last week. It was really interesting because we were talking about leadership and what leadership looks like. And what types of leaders do people follow? People follow leaders that are high energy, that are happy and positive and look at what is possible. There's a lot of people out there right now, I realize, that are struggling in the real estate industry. They're having a tough time. We're in a completely different market than we were a year ago. But there's also a ton of people who are doing an extraordinary amount of business, who are really busy, have a lot going on. I know that even just 3 months ago, I was crying the blues a little bit. I was like, I don't want, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, enough of that. And I have my good friend, Frank. I love Frank. I call Frank and I go, Frank, I'm calling to have a pity party. He goes, all right, you got 2 minutes. Start now. So I literally got to bitch for 2 minutes. I rambled on, and he's, your 2 minutes are over. Get your butt back to work. I'm like, all right. And I honestly felt better, right? Like I felt good. Like I got that off my chest. Go find a way. And you know what? I started hustling that day. I started making my calls. I started doing all the things I needed to do. And I think I have 8 in contract right now. So what does that actually look like for you? And are you hanging out with people around you that give you only a 2-minute pity party? Meaning you can't cry the blues, you can't whine and whine and whine. They're going to listen to you for a couple minutes. They'll let you get it all off your chest. But then guess what, you guys? It's time to get back to work. So paying close attention to the energy, not only that you create, but the energy that you surround yourself with. Some of you need to step back away from some friends. Some of you maybe need to change offices. Some of you need to stop working from home and get into an office where you can get around some energy and people, right? Some of you need to get up and go to a networking event or a party. Some of you need to have a party, right? These are all things that some of you may need to do to get your life on track, right? And it's all really important and can change the dynamic of the way that you currently do business. So what does that look like for you? Okay, so let's talk about this. Plan the day, or the day plans you. How many of you even plan a day? How many of you have any idea of what is on your schedule? Again, we talked earlier about calendar, right? If I look at your calendar, you look at my calendar, you'll see, first of all, Tuesday Tuneups is on my calendar every single week. I don't plan other things during it. I don't do other things. The reality is that it's so important that things are on my calendar. After this today, I have some prospecting time. I have a lockbox I have to put on a property, right? Now, normally I would not be doing that because that's not a high dollar time, except my husband, my personal assistant, my love of my life, who normally does all that for me, is laid up with a jacked up foot. So he cannot drive. So I am delivering and putting up lock boxes today. But it's okay because I have several showings and it's a nice drive to Grass Valley. So think about this though, but it's also in my calendar. I have that time blocked out. And what am I going to do during that 2-hour drive? I have 2 audio books I'm going to be listening to that I've been procrastinating on, right? So what does your day look like, and what is that plan? Do you take a few minutes before you go to bed at night, or a few minutes when you first wake up in the morning, and lay out your schedule for the day? This is what is really important. Now, again, I love this quote, plan the day or the day plans you. It still can plan you even if you have the day planned. But the truth is, if you have no plan, odds are your day is going to turn into a chaotic mess. So what does your plan look like for each day? Are you managing that time, and what is that time worth to you? So the last one here is, I love this. It says world-class athletes rest between sprints, right? A good laugh and a long sleep are the best cures in the doctor's book. I love this. Many of us do not get good sleep. And why do we not get good sleep? Because we are up all night long thinking of all the horrible things that are going on in our life. And sleep is really, it's so incredibly valuable. It changes the dynamic of everything. For example, even last night, I slept really good because the night before I didn't sleep so good. So today I woke up, I'm feeling amazing. I feel great. I'm excited for the day. I was excited to spend this time with all of you here on Tuesday Tuneups. But had this happened yesterday, I might have had a little different attitude because I didn't sleep so good that night, right? But the reality is I'm still responsible for the energy that I bring. So imagine if I hopped on this class today and I'm like, well, how are you guys today? Oh, we're going to talk about this market. Man, this market sucks, doesn't it? I don't know. What am I going to do? How many of you guys would want to come back to the Tuesday Tuneups week after week? Like, be responsible for that energy that you put into the room. That's what is most important. So the thing is, what I wanted to say last but not least is, how much time are you spending in all of these areas, and how much of your day is planned? I can tell that many of you guys are very busy doing busy work. You're not necessarily busy doing the stuff that needs to happen on a daily basis, right? Now, I can tell you that accountability is a big piece. For example, if nobody is watching you, you will do whatever you need to do. But what I know is that you will let yourself down all day long, but you won't let me down. You won't let somebody else down. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, you will do it. So what are you doing on a daily basis for accountability? In a couple weeks, we're going to be launching our Sales Fuel class again. So keep an eye out for that. It's a Sales Fuel product program where we hold you accountable. And Beth, who's on here, is in our Sales Fuel. What do you think of Sales Fuel, Beth?
It has helped me quite a bit. It's kept me using the tracker every day, even though some weeks it doesn't look as good as it should, and just new, better practices for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. So we'll be sending out information on that. So keep an eye on your mailboxes for Sales Fuel. And we have several other new classes coming up too that I've been working on. So if there's a specific topic that you guys want to talk about or want me to go through, please reach out to me and let me know. In the meantime, stay connected with me. I'm on YouTube, all the social media. And I wanted to stop this for a moment and open it up to questions. Do you guys have any questions, thoughts, ideas? I saw Maria posted, change your environment, your thinking, your surroundings, the people you're around. So incredibly true. All righty. Thank you guys so much for joining me again on Tuesday Tuneups. Oh, don't hesitate to share Tuesday Tuneups. I won't be here the next 2 weeks. Quick reminder. But you guys have a fabulous 4th of July and I will see y'all soon. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Have an amazing day and I hope to see y'all soon. Thank you, each and every one of you, for joining me today.